Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Theruvan Saranai. Good evening, Venerable Mahasangha, Sahales, and brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. Today we will be talking again on Parittārammaṇa Tika. This will be the final part, part 4 of the limited sense object triplet. During the last 3 lessons, we spoke about the first 2 terms completely, that is the Parittārammaṇa Dhammā, states having limited sense objects, as well as Mahaggatārammaṇa Dhammā, states having sublime sense objects. And as far as Appamāṇārammaṇa Dhammā is concerned, we managed to complete up to the Nikkepa as well as a part of the commentary chapter. And today we will continue from that point. The Appamāṇārammaṇa Dhammā. So like in the first 2 terms, we have both ekānta Appamāṇārammaṇa Dhammā as well as anekānta Appamāṇārammaṇa Dhammā. So ekānta means they always take an immeasurable sense object as its object. So these are the 8 supramundane consciousness, the 8 lokuttara citta, the 4 magga and the 4 phala citta, as well as the 36 cetasika that is accompanying them. Now, these 8 citta and 36 cetasika, they will always take nibbana as their sense object. When it comes to the anekānta Appamāṇārammaṇa Dhammā, these dhammas can take not only immeasurable sense objects, they can take other objects as well. For instance, they may take Paritta Dhamma or Mahaggatārammaṇ or even concepts as their sense object. So these are the 8 jnana sampayutta kusala and kriya. We get 4 each, and these are sense sphere consciousness. And the 5th jhana, abhinya, kusala and kriya. Mano dvāravajana, because that is the starting point of all these cognitive processes, and together with them arises 33 cetasika, excluding the 2 appamāṇya and the 3 virati. We now come to another paragraph which is found in the Atthakatha Khandam, the commentary chapter, under Appamāṇārammaṇa Dhammā. Kāmāvachara kusalato chattaro jnana sampayutta chittupada. The 4 sense sphere wholesome states associated with knowledge. Kiriyato chattaro jnana sampayutta chittupada. The 4 functional states associated with knowledge. Now again, these are Kāmāvachara. Rūpāvacharang chatuttāṃ jhānam kusalatocha kiriyatocha. Fine material sphere, 4th jhana, wholesome and functional. Now here, this is with reference to the abhinya, kusala and kriya citta. Kiriya hetuka mano viññāna dhātu upekkhā sahagata. The rootless functional mind consciousness element accompanied by equanimity. And that is the manodvara vajjana citta. Ime dhamma siya parittārammaṇa, siya mahaggatārammaṇa, siya appamāṇārammaṇa. These states can have limited sense objects, they can have sublime sense objects, they can have immeasurable sense objects. Then again, it goes on to say, siya navatabba parittārammaṇa tipi, mahaggatārammaṇa tipi, Appamāṇārammaṇa tipi, can be not stated as having limited sense objects, nor as having sublime sense objects, nor as having immeasurable sense objects. So this last sentence means that these dhammas that we mentioned before, at certain times, they may not take either a paritta, mahaggata or appamāṇa dhamma as their sense object. So they may take something apart from it. And what are they referring to? They're referring to the paññatti or the concepts. Now let's look at each of them one by one. So we'll first talk about the 8 jnana sampayutta, kusala and kriya. So these 8 states of consciousness which are associated with knowledge, 4 of them are wholesome, 4 of them are functionals. They may take Paritta, Mahaggatārammaṇa as their sense object. They also may take Lokuttara Dhamma, that is Appamāṇārammaṇ, as well as Navattabbarammana, undefined objects, meaning the paññatti or the concepts. Why are they called undefinable objects? It is because under the Parittārammaṇa Tika, we are talking only about the dhammas that take Parittādhamma, Mahaggatārammaṇ, and Appamāṇārammaṇ as their sense objects. So everything else, everything apart from that is considered as Navattabbarammana Dhamma. So this is with reference to the concepts. Now, what are the instances that these 8 states of consciousness arise, taking the Paritta or Mahaggatārammaṇ as their sense object? So here it is given as sakkacchadana, paccavekkhana, dhammasavana. So careful gift, reflection and hearing of the Dhamma. So last time I told you about sakkacchadana. Sakkacchadana is a carefully prepared dana or a gift. So when you say carefully prepared, all 3 stages, that is prior to giving, it is well planned, well prepared, and then during giving, it is given with a lot of saddha, a lot of faith. And then after giving also, the individual who engages in that dana rejoices in it, thinks about it with great respect, and thinks about that act of giving thinks very highly of it. So that would be a sakkacchadana. Paccavekkhana is when they reflect or when they think about maybe a past action, things like that. And again, listening to the Dhamma, again, with wisdom. So these 3 things. Now, when it comes to the sekka or probationers or the trainees, these are the people who are either stream enterers, the sakadagamis or the anagamis. The arahatta phala, the arahants, they are called kīnāsavāna. So apart from them, apart from the arahants, everyone else, the average persons and the probationers, these people will generate the kāmāvachara kusala, the jnana sampayutta kusala. But if it's an arahant who is doing this act of giving or reflection, then they will generate a jnana sampayutta kriya in this instance. Then when would these jnana sampayutta kusala or kriya be associated with a lokuttara dhamma, with the Appamāṇārammaṇ? So that is given in the next paragraph. Now here it is given Gotrabhu Kale, stage of adoption, or you can also call it change of lineage. So change of lineage is when the Magga Chitta is arising. During that cognitive process, you get 4 Kāmāvachara Chitta occurring prior to the Magga Chitta. You get the Parikamma, Upachara, Anuloma, and Gotrabhu. The Parikamma, Upachara, and Anuloma, those 3 Chittas will be taking the Vipassana object, that is either Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta, one of the 3 characteristics as its object. But when the Gotrabhu Chitta arises, it will take nibbana as its sense object. So that is the first time that nibbana is taken as its sense object in that particular individual's life. So when he is going to, just about to become a sotapatti or a stream enterer, the Gotrubhu chitta is the first chitta that will take nibbana as its object. So that is what is meant by Gotrubhu Kale. When the person goes beyond that stage and now he is going to become a once returner, a sakadagami, then we call that chitta vodana. Then again, the vodana chitta also will take nibbana as its sense object. The other instance is given in the last sentence, lokuttara dhamme paccavakkana kale. Paccavakkana. We will talk more about paccavakkana. Paccavakkana means to reflect. And we'll talk about that in the next slide. Yes, so now we're going to talk about the lokuttara dhamme paccavakkana kale. So this is the reviewing knowledge or the paccavakkana jnana that we are going to talk about. So once the absorption cognitive process is over and that particular individual has attained the path and fruition, they will review the path that they have obtained, the magga chitta, or any of the mental factors perhaps, the fruition and nibbana. Sometimes they may also reflect on the defilements that they have eliminated, as well as the remaining defilements. So there are 5 things that they can review when it comes to the the stream enterer, once returner, and the non-returner. But when it comes to the arahant, because there are no remaining defilements, they will be reflecting only on 4 things. That is the magga, phala, nibbana, as well as the eliminated defilements. Because there is nothing, no defilements remaining, that there is nothing to reflect there. So altogether, there are 19 such things that this reviewing knowledge will take as objects. Now, this is the instance. Now, if we are taking, the review occurs with a maha kusala chitta associated with knowledge, or a mahakriya chitta associated with knowledge when it comes to the arahants. So, the appamāṇa dhamma that these chitta can take would be the magga path, the fruition phala, or nibbana. Now we come to another paragraph in the Atthakatha Kanda. Rūpāvachara tika chatukka jhāna kusalatocha vipākatocha kiriyatocha. 3 or 4 wholesome resultant and functional jhana of the fine material sphere. Now, what does this mean? 3 or 4. 3 or 4 is with it's with reference to the 2 jhana systems, the 4 jhana system and the 5 jhana system. So the first 3 jhanas of the 4 jhana system, or the first 4 jhanas of the 5 jhana system. So when it comes to those 3 or 4 jhanas, we're talking about the kusala, vipaka, and kriya, wholesome, resultant, and functional jhanas. So these are all rūpāvachara. Chatusthassa jhanassa vipako. The 4th jhana, resultants. So here, this is with reference to the 4 jhana system, that is the, or if it's according to the 5 jhana system, it will be the 5th jhana. So all of the resultants belonging to the 4th jhana. Ākāsānaṁ chāyatana. So this is a arupa jhana, the base of infinite space. And again here we have the kusala, vipaka, and kriya included within this word. Ākiñcaññāyatana, the base of nothingness. This again is another immaterial, arupavachara jhana. Again, kusala vipaka kriya are included within this term. Ime dhamma navattappa Parittārammaṇa tipi Mahaggatārammaṇa tipi Appamāṇārammaṇa tipi. Now here they are saying that these dhamma should not be stated as having limited sense objects, nor as having sublime sense objects, nor as having immeasurable sense objects. Rupancha, Nibbānancha, Anārammana. All 28 rupa as well as Nibbāna, they don't take any sense object. So they are called Anārammana. Now let me talk a little bit more about these dhammas that were mentioned. So when we are talking about the Rupavachara jhana, here what they are referring to is basically when you take the first three jhanas of the Rupavachara 4 jhana system, or the first 4 jhanas of the Rupavachara 5 jhana system, they are developed using concepts as their sense object. So whether it's a kasina, whether it's a Brahma Vihara, whether it's whatever the object, they are all concepts. They are not ultimate realities. This is why these jhanas are not included here. But when it comes to the 4th jhana, kusala and kriya, some of them will take concepts as their object. But remember, the abhiññā, the 4th jhana, abhiññā, kusala and kriya are also included within that 4th jhana. That is why they have not included the 4th jhana, kusala and kriya here. They have taken only the resultants. And when do you get the resultants? You get the resultants during rebirth in a fine material sphere. So it will occur as a patisandhi chitta, or a bhavanga chitta, or a chuti chitta. Then again, when we're talking about ākāsānañcāyatana or ākiñcaññāyatana, those two again take concepts as their sense object. They don't take any ultimate realities. So this is why these dhammas are considered as not part of this triplet. And obviously, Rupa and Nibbāna, they don't. They are not consciousness or mental factors, so they don't take any sense objects. Therefore, they are called Anārammana. Now, let's talk about the fine material sphere, 4th jhana, the Rupavachara Chatutha jhana. Either the kusala or the kriya. So here there are 12 different modes under which they are described. The first, sabbatta padaka chatutthang. Sabbatta padaka chatutthang, translated as everywhere a vantage point. Space device, akasa kasina chatutthang. Light device, aloka kasina chatutthang. Divine states, brahma vihara chatutthang. Respiration, anapana chatutthang. Varieties of potency, iddhivida chatutthang. Supernormal hearing, dibbasota chatutthang. Thought reading, cheto pariyajnana chatutthang. Knowledge of destiny according to kamma, yatha kammupagajnana chatutthang. Supernormal sight, dibba chakku jnana chatutthang. Reminiscence of former lives, Pubbe Nivasa Jnana Chatutthang. Knowledge of the future, Anagatansa Jnana Chatutthang. Now we'll talk about each of these one by one. So first we will look at the Sabbatta Padaka Chatutthang. Everywhere a vantage point. So what is a vantage point? A vantage point is basically a place where when you go to that place, you are able to see a vast area. So likewise, there are certain jhanas. When you develop those jhanas, you are able to direct that jhana in various directions. So this everywhere a vantage point or a sabbatta padaka jhana is with reference to the fourth jhana developed using the 8 kasina or the 8 devices. And what are these 8 kasina? These are the patavi, apo, tejo, vayu, nila, pita, lohita, odata, kasina. So when a person develops this fourth jhana, using that jhana, they can turn towards vipassana, turn towards insight meditation. They can develop it to such a degree that they can develop abhinya or super knowledge. And they can also develop cessation or nirodha samapatti. However, when it comes to nirodha samapatti, that particular individual should either be an anagami or an arahant. So anybody below that level cannot attain cessation. So that is another important point to keep in mind. Then again, the round of rebirth, vattassa. So vattassa, round of rebirth means these jhanas will result in future rebirths in the fine material sphere plane. So that is why it's called a round of rebirth. So because these jhanas, this fourth jhana, which is developed using the 8 kasina, can move in can go into any of these directions. It's called a vantage point for all of these things. Then when we consider the akasa kasina, the space device, or the aloka kasina, light device, they are vantage points only for certain things. They are vantage points for everything except for cessation, except for nirodha samapatti. Then when it comes to the Brahma Vihara Chatutta or the Anapana Chatutta, these are vantage points for everything apart from abhinya, super knowledge, and nirodha, cessation. Now, when it comes to the tenfold jhana, so the dasa kasina, all of the patavi, apo, tejo, vayu, nila, pita, lohita, odata, then the akasa kasina or the aloka kasina, all of these kasina are concepts, they are paññatti. So that is why these jhana are said to have an undefinable state as its object. Navatabba Then again, when it comes to the Brahma Vihara, so what are the Brahma Vihara? Metta, Mudita, Karuna, and Upekka. So these divine states of the fourth jhana, these Brahma Vihara Chatutta, they arise with, again, a concept of a person or multiple people. So this is the Satta Paññatti. So Satta means living beings. Paññatti means concept. So if a certain person is doing metta meditation or karuna meditation, mudita or upekka meditation, there the object is not an ultimate reality. It is a concept. So again, these will not be classified under this triplet. Then Anapana Chatutta, the Anapana Sati Bhavana. Here again, it is a nimitta, or it is a certain symbol. It's a symbol of rising and falling that the meditator is observing. It is not an ultimate reality. So because again, this again is a concept, it's a paññatti. So therefore, these particular jhanas, because they have undefinable states as their objects, they are called navatabba dhamma. And then we come to the iddhivida chatutta. So iddivida are the modes of potency. So here, the iddivida chitta, either kusala or kriya, may take a Parittārammaṇa or a Mahaggatārammaṇa as its object. So how does it happen? Now, iddivida is a form where the individual who develops this form of jhana is able to either become invisible or make multiple, like let's say this particular individual can make him look as if there are 100 people present there. So it's kind of like it's kind of like an illusion which they can create. So one instance, when this individual makes the body dependent on the mind, he is able to make the body invisible. So by making, with the power of the mind, he uses this potency of this mind to bend the body and places it inside the sublime consciousness. Now, I really don't know how they really do this, but what the end result is the body becoming invisible. So they can move around, they can go to different places using this invisible body. So that is where the fourth jhana, iddivida jhana consciousness, takes a limited object, which is the material body, and that is a parittārammaṇa. The opposite also can be done. They can make the mind dependent on the body. So here what happens is they go by means of a visible body. So these individuals are able to travel by sky. They can go across the sea. So here what they do is they bend the mind by the power of the body, and they utilizing that jhana, they are able to travel using a visible body. So here the object of that iddivida jhana chitta will be a Mahaggatārammaṇ, because the object is that sublime consciousness itself. So these iddivida jhana can take either a Paritta or a Mahaggatārammaṇ as its object. Then we come to Dibbasota. Dibbasota is supernormal hearing of the fourth jhana. And here the sense object is sound, which is a Parittārammaṇa or a limited object. Cetopariya knowledge of others' thoughts, may be limited, Paritta, sublime, Mahaggata, or immeasurable, Appamāṇā. Now, let's see how this occurs. When the Cetopariya is able to know the thoughts of the other person, and if the particular thought is a kamavachara chitta, then it will be a Parittārammaṇa. If they are able to, now let's say this particular individual is meditating and is in a jhanic state, and somebody else using the Cetopariya is looking at the thoughts of that individual. At that particular point, the sense object will be a Mahaggata Dhamma. So this could be either Rupavachara or Arupavachara jhana. And again, Appamāṇārammaṇ is at the time of knowing the path or fruition. Now here you must remember the putujjana, the average person, cannot see or utilizing the Cetopariya, they can't see the supramundane or the lokuttara chittas of a stream enterer or above. And a stream winner can't see or can't perceive the thoughts of a once returner. And the once returner can't perceive the thoughts of an arahant. However, the arahant can perceive the thoughts of all beings. So now here we are talking about the lokuttara chittas. But when it comes to the sense sphere or the rupavachara or arupavachara chitta, then those of course can be seen by any of these individuals. So remember, if it's an average person who's utilizing the Cetopariñāna to know the thoughts of others, he will be restricted to the Paritta and Mahaggatārammaṇa Dhamma only. He will not be able to see any of the Appamāṇārammaṇ because he is still an average man. He is a Putujjana. He has not reached any of the parts of fruitions. Next, we have Yatha Kammupaga Jnana Chatutta, knowledge of destiny of one's actions. Here, the object can be either Paritta or Mahaggata, depending on where this individual is going to be born or what. Now, for instance, if the person performs a kamavachara kusala or a akusala, then the result would be rebirth in a sensual plane, a kamavachara bhumi. So then the object would be a limited object, it would be a parittārammaṇa. If it is a sublime object, Mahaggata, it could be either an arupavachara or a rupavachara or arupavachara jhana, that is the object. Then at that time of knowing the action, it will be the rupa or arupa bhumi. So depending on what that other individual is having, what kind of thoughts it's having, the object will vary. It will either be a Paritta or it will be a Mahaggata Dhamma. So 2 weeks ago, we had a question regarding this Cetopariñāna, whether the Mara and certain Brahmas, when they were able to read Lord Buddha's thoughts, whether they also had Cetopariñāna. So I went through the Mula Tika and Anu Tika. These are sub-commentaries to the Attasalini. And there it is mentioned that it is not with Cetopariñāna, but it is basically something which is called a Punya Iddhi. Punya Iddhis are basically because that certain individual is born in a certain realm, they are able to see or hear or even read others' thoughts. That is part and parcel of being in that particular realm. So, for example, if you take birds, birds are able to fly, but we can't fly. Birds, however, if we wanted to fly, we have to develop iddhivida jnana. So, likewise, gods, Brahmas, they are able to see beyond what we can see. But if we want to see to the extent of a Deva or a Brahma, then we have to develop the Dibba Chakku. Similarly, if we want to hear certain things that cannot be heard by a normal human ear, we will need to develop Dibba Sota. So, certain beings, the Devas, Brahmas, they are born with that. So, it is a Punya Iddhi that they have, and it's not these Cetopariñāna that they were utilizing at those particular instances. Now we move on to Dibba Chakku Jnana, supernormal vision. Here, the object is again a Parittādhamma, and that is the Vanna Rupa or the material object itself. So even though it is being seen by the mind rather than the eye, the physical eye, it is not called a dvārasangaha. It is called a parittārammaṇa, because it is the Vanna Rupa that is made the object of the Dibba Chakku Jnana. Pubbe Nivasa Nussati Jnana, that is where the individual is able to recall or reminisce about one's former lives. It can be either Paritta or Mahaggata. Now, let's say a certain individual is looking back on his former lives, or even within that particular life itself, he can reminisce about the different chitta cetasika that has arisen in that life itself. So it could be kāmāvacara, it could be Mahaggata, it could be Appamāṇa. It could also be concepts. So let's see how these occur. So a Parittārammaṇa, now let's say at the time of recollecting the aggregates of a sensuous realm, kāmāvacara, chitta cetasika, or even rūpa dhamma, if they are recollecting about those, then it will be a Parittārammaṇa. If this particular individual was born in a fine material sphere or an immaterial sphere realm, then when thinking about those particular chitta cetasika or even rūpa, then it would be Mahaggatārammaṇ. If a particular individual starts recollecting the path or the fruition that person has realized by himself or by others in the past, then it will be a Appamāṇārammaṇ. So here they have given an example. The Buddhas in the past cultivated the path, realized the fruition, and entered parinibbāna by the element of nibbāna. Here also is an immeasurable object from reflecting on the path, fruition, and nibbāna of the Buddhas who have cut off the rounds of rebirths. Now, again, we must remember that this kind of reflection on Appamāṇārammaṇ would not be possible for an individual who is a putujjana. A putujjana person will not be able to reflect on things like the path, fruition, or nibbāna because they have not experienced it before. So this will be basically for someone who has already seen nibbāna, who has already achieved the path or the fruition. Then, when do we get an undefinable object or navatabba-rammana? Now, let's say somebody is recalling his past life and he remembers his name in the past, the name of the family, where he was born. So these things are all concepts. So here again, they have given an example. In the past, there was the Buddha Vipassi. He had a city called Bandhumati. His father was King Bandhuma and his mother was Bandhumati, and so on. So all of these are navatabba-rammana. They are concepts. They are names. So this is the kind of recollection a certain individual can have, and depending on what the object is, it may be Paritta, Mahaggata, Appamāṇa, or navatabba-rammana. And again, similarly, the anagataṅ chatutthaṅ, knowledge of the future, again, in the same way, may have either a Paritta, Mahaggata, or Appamāṇārammaṇ as its object. So here again, an example is given. He will cultivate the path, realize fruition, enter parinibbāna by the element of nibbāna. And the undefinable or navatabba-rammana would be at the time of knowing a name, family, or place. So, for example, in future, there will be the Buddha Metteya. His father will be the Brahmin Subrahma, and his mother will be the Brahmani Brahmavati. So, likewise, anagataṅ also can take Paritta, Mahaggata, and Appamāṇa, as well as undefinable objects such as concepts. Now, the immaterial fourth jhana, arupāvacara chatutthāṅ, as well as asavanankaya or asavakaya jnana. These will be discussed later on as we'll be talking about the other matikas. The Manodvara Vajjana, mind-do adverting. So here the Manodvara Vajjana was mentioned as Kiriya Hetuka Mano Viññāna Dhātu Upekha Sahagata. So this chitta, this Manodvara Vajjana chitta is the precursor, or it is the starting point of all of these Manodvarika chitta viti, the mind-do cognitive processes. So therefore it is able to take all objects as its sense object. So it may be Paritta, it may be Mahaggata, Appamāṇa, or even what is called Navatabba-rammana. And when it comes to this Manodvara Vajjana Chitta, when it occurs in a Panchadvarika Chitta Viti, there it occurs just before the Javana. So at that point, it will be taking a Parittārammaṇa. So this Manodvara Vajjana is either the starting point of a Manodvarika Chitta Viti, or it can occur just before the Javanas as the Vuttapana Chitta occurring in a Panchadvarika Chitta Viti. So we already spoke about this Rupavachara Tika Chaturtha Jhana, the 3 or 4 fold jhana of the fine material sphere. They take concepts as their sense object. So they are considered as Navatabba-rammana, and they are not classified under this triplet. And then when it comes to the ākāsānaṁ-chāyatana, it occurs by separating the space from any of the 9 devices. So here what is done is the individual utilizing one of the 9 devices, that is except for Akasa Kasina, the remaining Patavi Apo Tejo Vayu, Nila Pita Lohita Odata, and Aloka Kasina, one of those 9 devices, they master it to a certain degree that they are able to spread that kasina across the infinite space. So once they are able to do that, the next step is to extract that kasina and focus only on the space. So that is called Uggati Mākase. So Uggating Akase. They extract the Akase and focus on the, they extract the kasina and focus on the Akasa or the space. So that is Ākāsānaṁ-chāyatana. Here again, it is a concept. Ākiñcaññāyatana is also a concept where it is focusing on the bhanga, or the cessation or the disappearance of the viññāna-chāyatana chitta. So again, here it is not an ultimate reality, but again it is a concept. So which is why those 2 jhanas are also not considered under this triplet. So the Dhamma that are not obtained in this triplet are the 15 Rupavachara jhana. So when I say 15 Rupavachara jhana, this is excluding the Abhiññā, Kusala and Kriya jhana. And also the 6 Arupavachara jhana chitta. So how do we get 3? How do we get 6? The 3 ākāsānaṁ-chāyatana, that is the Kusala, Vipāka and Kriya, as well as the 3 ākiñcaññāyatana chitta. And together with 35 Chetasika. So 35, we are getting this number because there are Rupavachara jhana involved here as well. Then at the time that concepts are made the mental object, the 12 akusala, the 8 mahakusala, 8 mahakriya, the 2 abhinya, 52 chetasika. These are also not spoken about in this triplet. And of course, the 28 rupa and nibbana, they are ālambana dhamma. They don't take any object, therefore they also are not obtained in this triplet. It is now time for questions. You can ask if there are any questions. We also have a few questions that I was asked via email, which related to this Matika, so I would like to discuss those as well. But you can ask any questions if you have them. All right, we'll discuss the answers to the questions. The first question, in lesson 32, Parittārammaṇa Tika part 3, when you talked about concepts, navattabbā-rammana, undefinable objects, the thinking of a person, a concept with compassion concept, may I check at that instance, would that chitta associate with karuna? Or when a person is recollecting a sharing of joy with another, does the chetasika of mudita associate with that consciousness? So first, I need to clarify or explain one thing. Compassion or karuna is not a concept. It's an ultimate reality. It's a mental factor. But, okay, the process of thinking of a person, yes, it is a concept. So if somebody is thinking about living beings or persons, these are concepts. So when a consciousness is associated with either karuna or mudita, the object of that particular consciousness and mental factors will be a concept, because it's usually with relation to a person or living beings in general. So the answer would be yes. That particular consciousness, when somebody is thinking about a person with compassion, there is karuna associated with it. And again, when somebody is sharing the joy with another person, mudita is associated with that consciousness. So if I give you an example, let's say you see a beggar on the street and you develop compassion towards that person and you give a donation. So at that particular point, you're having a kāmāvachara, a mahakusala chitta, which is associated with karuna chetasika, compassion. It could be one of the 8 mahakusala chitta. If that particular thought or if that particular individual is an arahant, then it will be one of the 8 mahakriya chitta. Another example regarding mudita would be, let's say you get a call from a friend and your friend says he or she passed an exam and you genuinely rejoice in it. You genuinely are happy for your friend. So that is an instance where you are happy for the success of another individual. So there, again, it could be one of the 8 sense sphere mahakusala chitta, and there will be mudita as an accompanying mental factor. But when it comes to the Parittārammaṇa Tika, we are not talking about concepts. We are not considering concepts. Therefore, these are not included under the dhammas that we classified under the Parittārammaṇa Tika. So under Parittārammaṇa Dhamma, I've taken only the Parittārammaṇa Dhamma. So here, under Ekanta Parittārammaṇa as well as Anekanta Parittārammaṇa Dhamma, we have excluded the 2 Appamāṇa. So this is because Appamāṇa occurs in context of concepts, which paññatti. So because we are not talking about paññatti in this triplet, you will notice that under Parittārammaṇa Dhamma, Mahaggatārammaṇa Dhamma, as well as Appamāṇārammaṇa Dhamma, the 2 Appamāṇa are removed from all of those three terms. Question 2. Regarding the word ārabba, having made a mental object, does it refer only to manudvara viti and excludes panchadvara viti as they are cognizing a mental object? So the word ārabba, now I have given the Pali text of the Nikkepa of Parittārammaṇa Tika. So under all three terms, Parittārammaṇa, Mahaggatārammaṇa and Appamāṇārammaṇa, you see this word ārabba. Paritte dhamme ārabba, Mahaggate dhamme ārabba, Appamāne dhamme ārabba. So it occurs in all three. So ārabba means to take as its sense object. So what takes the sense object? It's consciousness and their associated mental factors. So whether it is a Paritta Dhamma, Mahaggatārammaṇa Dhamma or Appamāṇārammaṇ, taking as its sense object is what this word ārabba means. So it is not restricted to the manudvarika chittaviti. It applies to the panchadvarika chittaviti as well. So not only the mind do, but also the 5 do cognitive processes are included here. So again, if I go back to this, under ekanta parittārammaṇa dhamma, we classified 23 kāmavachara vipāka. Out of these 23 kāmavachara vipāka are the 15 ahetuka vipāka. So here we get the 2 eye consciousness, where the object would be the visible form. Then you have the 2 ear consciousness, where sound will be the object. So these are panchadvarika chittaviti. So we are not excluding the panchadvarika chittaviti here. The word ārabba simply means making a mental object or taking something as its object. So that may be a rupa, it may be a chitta, cetasika, nibbana concept. It could be any of those things. But of course, in this triplet, we are not talking about concepts. We are talking only about the Paritta, Mahaggata, and Appamāṇa Dhamma.
Teacher, sorry, Doctor, can I just go back to the question? Maybe I think, I'm not too sure, but I think the questioner may have misunderstood the English translation, because it's having made a mental object, not just object. So I suspect maybe the questioner understood it as dhammaramana. So that's why they say exclude panchadvara viti, because maybe they understood mental object as dhammaramana.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. Yes, which is why I brought out this to show that the word ārabba is mentioned for all three terms, and that it could be regardless of whether they are rupa or chitta, cetasika, nibbana or concepts, regardless of what the ārammana is. When you take the word ārabba, the consciousness and mental factors will be taking as its sense object a certain thing. And it is not limited to the dhammārammana. Correct. So it could be rupa, it could be the other ārammana as well. So here, again, this slide also shows the same thing. So the Parittārammaṇa Dhamma will be taking the kāmavachara or the sense sphere dhammas. And what are the sense sphere dhammas? We have the 54 consciousness, the 52 mental factors, the 28 rupa. So it's when it comes to the rupa, it will be occurring in the five sense do, or the panchadvarika chittaviti. And then Mahaggatārammaṇa Dhamma are the dhammas that take the Mahaggata Dhamma as their object, which are the Rupavachara and Arupavachara consciousness and mental factors. And finally, the Appamāṇārammaṇa Dhamma will take the supramundane things, which are the 8 supramundane consciousness, the 36 mental factors, and Nibbana. So here basically, regardless of whether it is a rupa, chitta, cetasika or nibbana, the object could be any of these when it comes to this Parittārammaṇa Tika. Question 3. The 8 Mahakusala Jnana Sampayutta Chittas as Anekanta Appamāṇārammaṇa Dhammā during Metta Bhavana, contemplating on Metta, plus associated 33 Cetasika, the 2 Appamāṇa and 3 Virati are excluded. Is this Metta as Adosa Cetasika also excluded in the Tika, or is it still included as it's a universal mental factor of Kusala? So here I think there is a confusion between the two words Appamāṇa and Appamāṇā. So Appamāṇa refers to the Karuna and Mudita Cetasika. Appamāṇā Dhamma refers to the 8 lokuttara, supramundane consciousness, the 36 mental factors associated with it, and Nibbana. Now, I think you may already understand because we explained this during our lesson today. The 8 Mahakusala Jnana Sampayutta Chitta. It should be the 8 Maha Jnana Sampayutta Chitta, 4 are Kusala and 4 are Kriya. So these occur as Anekanta Appamāṇārammaṇa Dhamma. And the instance where it occurs is during the Gotrabhu stage or the Vodana stage, where the Gotrabhu Chitta or the Vodana Chitta sees Nibbana or takes Nibbana as its object, and it occurs just before the occurrence of the Magga Chitta. The other instance where these 4 Mahakusala and these 4 Mahakriya Chitta occurs is during Paccavekkhana, when the Paccavekkhana or the reflecting consciousness takes either the Magga, Phala or Nibbana as its object during that process of reflection. But what about Metta Bhavana? Metta Bhavana is a process that takes place taking a concept, the concept of living beings or persons as its object. So Metta Bhavana is not really spoken about under this Matika. However, the next part of this question, whether this Metta as Adosa Cetasika is excluded, the answer is no. It is still there because Metta or Adosa Cetasika is a universal, beautiful mental factor. So there are 19 Sobana Sadharana Cetasika. Sobana Sadharana Cetasika means universal, beautiful mental factor. So out of these 19, Adosa is also one of them, which means if a Kusala Kriya or a Kusala Vipaka, Kusala Vipaka with roots, right? So the Sahetuka Kusala Vipaka. These Chitta will always have those 19 universal, beautiful mental factors being associated with it. So the Adosa Cetasika will be excluded with these 8 Maha Kusala and Kriya Jnana Sampayutta Chitta. But it is not during Metta Bhavana, because Metta Bhavana is not spoken about in this triplet. Question 4. When practicing Metta Bhavana, is it possible to be done with Metta as Adosa Cetasika becoming the object of Vipassana, or Metta Bhavana in Samatha as Paññatti, here considered as sublime object or immeasurable object? So again, we'll talk about the different types of meditation. So we have 2 broad categories of meditation. One is called Samatha. Samatha refers to one-pointedness meditation, and the Brahma Viharas are a component of it. And metta bhavana or loving kindness meditation is one form of this samatha bhavana. The other main branch is called vipassana, and that is insight meditation. Now, what is the object of each of these? Now, when it comes to metta bhavana or any of the 4 Brahma Vihara bhavanas, the object are living beings. They are paññati, they are concepts. So, to answer your first question, when practicing metta bhavana, the object is a paññati. It is a concept, that is the living beings, whether far, close, small, large, visible, invisible. Living beings in general is the object, not adosa cetasika. Therefore, it is a concept. And here we are not considering concepts under this triplet. Then what about when it becomes the object of vipassana? Okay, so what exactly happens in vipassana? So during the initial stages, so there are 2 ways of doing insight meditation. One is called suska vipassaka, where an individual who doesn't have previous mundane jhanas directly goes into insight meditation. So they directly go into either kaya-anupassana, vedana-anupassana, chitta-anupassana, dhamma-anupassana, whichever. They directly start off with vipassana. The other form is called samatha-yanika, where they first develop a mundane jhana, either fine material, or they may even go into immaterial sphere jhanas. They first develop these samatha jhanas and then move on to vipassana. So likewise, an individual can do metta bhavana and then move on to vipassana. And then what will be the object? So here during vipassana bhavana, so the initial stages, they will be kamavachara kusala chitta. So the initial stages, when it is concentrating on the metta bhavana jhana, either the jhana factors or the consciousness itself, it will be a Mahaggatārammaṇa. But during the latter stages, it will be the 3 characteristics or the tini lakkanani of anicca, dukkha, and anatta. So when it comes to the cognitive process, the final cognitive process where the path and the fruition is developed, you get 4 kamavachara kusala chittas occurring prior to the magga chitta. So you get the parikamma, upachara, anuloma, and gotrabhu. Gotrabhu, if it's the stream winner's path, or it is called vodana if it's a subsequent one of the 3, the sakadagami, anagami, or arahatta, magga cognitive processes. So this particular, the 4th consciousness or the gotrabhu or vodana chitta will be taking nibbana as its object. But the preceding 3 consciousness, which are the parikamma, upachara, and anuloma, those 3 will be taking the 3 one of the 3 characteristics, either anicca, dukkha, or anatta. So depending on what form of meditation that person is engaged in, it could be anicca-anupassana, dukkha-anupassana, or anatta-anupassana. So that individual will be focusing in particular on one characteristic, and depending on that, that will be the object of those 3 consciousness, the parikamma, upachara, and anuloma. So the 3 characteristics again are not ultimate realities. They are merely characteristics. So again, these are not considered under this triplet. So here I have extracted a paragraph from the Comprehensive Manual of Abhidhamma, which mentions the same thing about these three characteristics becoming the object of vipassana during the latter stages, just before attainment of the Magga and Phala. Question 5. The four Mahakusala Jnana Sampayutta Chitta, while having Lokuttara Viti as Gotrabhuva Vodana, also take Nibbana as object. Are they also considered in Tatyapada, or the third term, or immeasurable object? So, yes, so we this is what we explained before. So when it comes to the what is given here as CH, which is change of lineage, or the Gotrabhu, Vodana, if it's the higher three parts. Nibbana is what it takes as its object, and therefore it is an Appamāṇārammaṇa Dhammā in that instance. So the four Mahakusala Jnana Sampayutta Chitta during the occurrence of the Gotrabhu or Vodana Chitta is taking Nibbana as its object. Therefore, it is a Appamāṇārammaṇa Dhammā in that instance. Question 6. The four Mahakusala Jnana Sampayutta Chitta, while having Lokuttara Viti, the previous three Chitta, Parikamma, Upachara, Anuloma, taking the Vipassana object, is it considered as Dutiyapada, sublime, or Tatyapada, immeasurable? Dutiya means second term, Tatya means third term. So we explained before, the Parikamma, Upachara, and Anuloma is taking as its object one of the three characteristics, either anicca, dukkha, or anatta. So these characteristics are neither sublime nor immeasurable nor limited. They are not. They do not fall under this triplet. So they are excluded from this triplet. So the instance where the Parikamma, Upachara, and Anuloma Chitta occurs, those particular Mahakusala Jnana Sampayutta Chitta are not considered under this triplet. So I'm sure you recall this slide from the Kusala Tika. We spoke that these things mentioned on this slide are not obtained under the Kusala Tika. Not only the Kusala Tika, it's not obtained under any of the triplets or the couplets. So the three characteristics which we were talking about, the anicca, dukkha, anatta, then the three concepts, namakasina or the satta paññatti, the space obtained by separating the devices. So this is the object of the ākāsānañcāyatana chitta. Then the open space, ajatākāsa, object of nothingness, is the object of the ākiñcaññāyatana chitta, and nirodha samapatti, attainment of cessation. So none of these are obtained in any of the triplets. So you can direct any questions to this email address. Unfortunately, we don't have time to take any questions right now. So the next lesson will be on the 30th of March. And now it is time to share merits.
分享，
So please join me.
请大家跟老师一起。
Akasatta ca bummatta deva naga mahittika punyantang anumoditva chiran rakkantu sasanam chiran rakkantu desanam chiran rakkantu mamparam idam me ñātīnaṁ hotu sukhita hontu ñāteyo idam me ñātīnaṁ hotu sukhita hontu ñāteyo idam me ñātīnaṁ hotu sukhita hontu ñāteyo. Imina punya kammena mame bala samagamu satan samagamu hotu yava nibbana pattiya. Idam me punyang asavakkaya vahang hotu. Idam me punyang nibbanassa paccayo hotu. Mama punya bhagang sabba sattanam bhajemi. Te sabbe me samang punya bhagang labantu. Buddha Sāsanang Chiram Tiktatu, Buddha Sāsanang Chiram Tiktatu, Buddha Sāsanang Chiram Tiktatu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
Thank you very much, Doctor and Brother Gigi. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.